The story of how I went from whitewash to not at the age of 12 is always funny.
Glad to have you amazing viewers and exciting time at Comfort for Life Network, and I'm so glad that you're part of this. Yeah, kindly do me a favor and smash that like button. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I came across a video on my For You page that was saying reformed suburban black girls need to be studied. And I was like, okay, what is it about suburban girls and why do they need to be studied? And what is the need for reformation first? So this video basically is looking into suburban black girls and even those who have gone through reformation and what was the need for reformation and why did they go through that and how did it happen? So that's what this video is basically about. You are welcome to interact through the comment section. Also share your thoughts kindly. We are here to interact. Enjoy the rest.
Something I think about a lot is how different me and my brother's experiences growing up were, specifically the suburban black experience. In a way, they benefited from the way their darker skin was masculinized. And that's a weird statement to say because it's a double-edged sword. And honestly, what I mean by that is the way black men are perceived can be the demise of them, but can also benefit them. It's the way in the sense that a lot of white kids are obsessed with sports and black celebrities, but also are scared of black men when they walk down the street. So with that being said, my brothers were pretty well known in high school. They got every single girl and they were pretty athletic. Whereas me, I would never live to see the day where I would ever get a date to homecoming, prom, or even be popular. Black men or black boys in high school were always seen as really being cool. Whereas black women, specifically in like the areas or the group that I was in, were never perceived as being it or popular or anything at all. They stitched whatever stereotypes they have of black women and they stitch it onto us.
The suburbs is and has always been a tool for white people to use in order to get away from black people and people that look like black people. I am black people and I moved to the suburbs. This is what it's like. I am from the segregated Niagara Falls, which is segregated by Military Road, which is around here. This is around where I'm from, and this is around where the suburbs are. Despite living in this dangerous, horrible area, when I walked outside, my feet would hit sidewalk. On the sidewalk with me would be people of multiple races and ethnicities, and whenever I would nod at them, they would nod back to me. They would say hello to me. If I wanted to walk to the store, the library, the movie theater, I could. And if I couldn't walk there, I could take the bus. That changed when I moved to the suburbs. I moved out here and my first thought was, where are the sidewalks? My second thought was, where is all the black people? My third thought was, why is everyone looking at me like that? A grocery store recently opened up near my house. A couple-minute drive, a 1-hour walk, because there's no sidewalks. Not in my neighborhood, not around my neighborhood, not in the neighborhood that is being built near my neighborhood, and not anywhere for about a mile or two. Once I noticed these things, I did some digging, and here's what I found. Pause to read. No shit, there's nobody that looks like me here. They statistically don't exist. Don't need sidewalks if each household has 2 cars. Can't be any homeless people if the average property cost is about $240,000. I've seen 3 black people since I moved out here. One was today. One was about 2 weeks after I moved out here. My neighbors were getting their house power washed. The only time I ever seen a house get power washed was the house that my grandfather owned, and he did it himself. Incredibly fitting that one of the only times I saw a black person out here, they were being paid to be out here. Also incredibly fitting that the second time I saw a black person out here, they were stepping out of a Mercedes-Benz in a car repair shop that had a Lamborghini in it and also an Audi. I drive by these cars every day, by the way. Third time was today. This black woman was in a convertible pulling into the grocery store that I was just leaving, which is what prompted me to make this video, actually. As I'm shopping, I'm walking by people. I nod at them and they look away from me. I turn around and they are turning back around because they were looking at me as I walked by. This happened about 4 to 5 times, the exact same thing. Whenever I pump my gas, people often stare. When I go into the gas station, they ignore me. I was filling my tire up once and somebody says, "Hey, are you okay?" I go, "Yes. Why?" And he goes, "Oh, well, you look lost." I live down the street. And so you spend all this money on a nice house and your children have to play in the street or in the front lawn. There's no sidewalk to get to the park or any playground because there is no sidewalk or park or playground or green space at all, forest, no trees, there's nothing. There's no basketball courts, there's no tennis courts, there is no recreation center even, there's nowhere to go, there is nothing to do, but this is all at the cost of there being no black people. Not even a pool, but you don't gotta see black people.
This is why people hate suburban black girls. And no, it's not because you're richer, you're prettier, you talked so proper and you were bullied for it. No, this is why. And as a suburban black girl myself, I feel it's only right I explain. A lot of suburban black girls use their wealth to one-up other black people. And me and my other friend were just talking about it. It's like they have this mindset that they're so much better off than other black people that they think that they're superior. And this isn't always the case. I'm just saying most of the time. And I promise you the black community does not hate you because you wear Lululemon or that you have like, I get it. Experiences are valid for not being accepted by the black community growing up. But at the same time, you can't use that as a platform to elevate yourself above blackness. And as someone who has all of those things and might not have like an aesthetic that, you know, is really popular within the community, it is really time to let go of thinking that you're better than other black people, because I've met people like that. You're not.
The story of how I went from whitewash to not at the age of 12 is always funny. Starting off in private school, this is me. I switched to a public school and there were black people, but I guess I had just naturally gravitated towards white people. Until this other black girl noticed, and she's like, if you buy me a bag of hot Cheetos, I'll introduce you to all the other black people. And I'm like, okay. I buy the hot Cheetos, and during recess, she introduces me to everybody. And after that, someone said the reformed suburban black girl needs to be studied. I agree, so let's do my case. Per my last video growing up, I was only hanging with people until that one girl told me to buy her hot Cheetos. After that, my whole friend group was changed, everything changed. However, middle school was ending, so I had to find a way to keep it going. Because the high school I was supposed to go to had worse demographics. So at age 13, I was like, I'm gonna find an all black high school. So I found one, it was Magnet, and first day of high school. I get there, people are like, oh, you do this like your way. I ignore it because I wanted to be fully ingrained in my culture. So much to the point that at age 15, I started a nonprofit organization for empowerment and volunteering for black girls. And what do I name it? Brown Girls Big Things. With the help of 3 people, we build membership sign up to like 300 people. And this is huge because we're teens. And now we turned the incorporated organization into a club at my old high school. And they're still going strong. They be doing like trap yoga and stuff. My case was whitewashed to reformed to giving back to the community.
Like, I'm a suburban black girl that was raised by a mother that grew up in the inner city.
This suburban black girl conversation is wild. There also needs to be a support group for black inner city millennial parents raising suburban kids now. My friends and I talk about this all the time because we're pretty much living and experiencing the same life. Majority of our friends are black. We also are married to other black people, and we come from either the inner city or from families that grew up with a lower income. We are raising 2 little suburban black girls, and both of their parents come from the inner city. Me more so than my husband because I was born and raised in the Bronx. And both of our girls are lighter than us, which can be a whole different conversation growing up black in suburbia in white spaces. This conversation is wild because us inner city parents, especially that millennial age, because I do see that a lot of us are doing things differently from the way we were raised, but that's again a different conversation. We work so hard to get out of the hood, get our education, get these meaningful careers, be married, live in this world, raise these kids, for them now to have a completely different life experience that also still has some negative impacts. It's like you damned if you do and you damned if you don't. And the crazy thing is we do our best to make sure our children stay humbled. Just because they're living in a particular circumstance that a lot of other people won't, doesn't mean that they're better. But then they get bullied by those same people we're trying to humble them for. Make it make sense. But one thing's for sure and 2 things for certain. I'm still an inner city kid, which means no games will be played with my suburban girls. The lived experience of millennial inner city Black parents who are now raising suburban Black kids is wild. I really do feel like we need a support group that has a really good therapist, because it's crazy. It's crazy because as the parent, as the adult, you work so hard getting your degrees, getting your career, getting your new zip code, but you still have that inner city kid in you. Like, that's in you. But now you're raising kids that you obviously want to be better and have better than what you had. But in the same breath, you also want to make sure that they don't have this, like, big head and big ego. But then also in the same breath, you spoil your kids because you're giving them also what you wish that you had. See, people will view that and think that you're living what you wish you had through your kids, but you're not. You always want to make sure that you're providing more for your kids and that you're building that legacy and that wealth, that generational wealth that we're always talking about. So to have to go through all of that mentally while still raising a good, well-rounded, mentally sound suburban kid is wild, is all I can describe it as. So to see videos from actual suburban Black kids and their experience, knowing that could possibly be your kid's experience is heart-wrenching. You also don't want them to be the token Black person, period. And the kids who do look like them, hopefully they will all link up. But most of the bullying, like that girl said in the original video, comes from family, comes from people from back where you, the parent, came from. And it's...
So here we go. When I was in first grade, there was this girl in my class. And every week she would talk about her housekeeper and I love my housekeeper. And I grew up in I would say an upper middle class white area. I did not grow up in Baldwin Hills. There were no other Black people. There's probably 6 of us out of 780 graduating high school. So I probably grew up with the same 4 Black people, and that was it. Fine. Get to the story. This girl would talk about her housekeeper and this lady raised her, and I can't be racist. My housekeeper's Black and she raised me, one of those white people. Okay. And she would bring in food from her housekeeper. And I guess I just thought when I was younger, because again, I only had my cousins. So I thought that the foods that we ate were universal experiences. We were all eating the same foods. Fine. One day she comes to lunch and she's eating smothered chicken. And I was like, where'd you get that from? And she's like, my housekeeper. She cooks for us when she comes. Fine. Fast forward to 2nd grade. And this was a thing, we got over the housekeeper cooks you food. Fine, whatever. 2nd grade comes and it's Black History Month. And she's heartbroken because her housekeeper is retiring. And funnily enough, I had a very close family member who happened to be retiring. Didn't think the two had anything to do with each other. Long story short, the girl brings in the picture of her housekeeper, and it's the family member who was retiring. I never told her that story, so she might just hear that here. And also, I think that's just a look into where I grew up. A lot of people think that when you say suburban Black girl, it's I grew up in Baldwin Hills and all the other Black people who were around me were the same. No, I grew up in an upper class white society. We were middle class, sure, so we belong there. But those were just times where I realized, I'm not like these people. I don't belong here. Just a little inside look on who I am as a person. Thanks. Have a good day.
We're black dudes from the suburbs. Of course my white friends say nigga.
As we conclude this video, mine is just to remind us that there's nothing wrong with living in the suburbs, and I know that you know that. But also it's important to recognize that individuals, regardless of their skin color, race, ethnicity, whatever you can divide them with, have the right to live in different environments and shouldn't face discrimination based on where they reside. So it's important to note that they are free to live wherever they want to, but that feeling of superiority shouldn't be discouraged. But what if we shift our focus on that and we focus on what promotes peace, reconciliation, and unity within the black community? Because we are not advocating for such. We are not advocating for things that bring division within the black community. So if you are living in the suburb and you're watching this, kindly consider and also share the video. Just remember that we are one. Regardless of where we live, regardless of what opportunities we have in life, we have the right to live. So my question is this: do you think that there is really need for reformation of black girls living in the suburbs? Anyway, do you think there is need for reformation? This girl had done her reformation, and yeah, she felt like she was disconnected from her people, and it's very important for her to like come back. And the step that she had taken, I've learned a few things from that, but also it seems to be a problematic question if I'm to ask you. But I appreciate that you watched to this extent. Don't forget to like the video and also subscribe. Goodbye for now.